tend to get a protector contract versus NA, they get the Dragon Blood contract, right, the aggressive contract. So it'll be interesting to see how that's going to pan out.
All right, well, the draft is underway. It's time to get into our first game. Bacon, what are we expecting to come out from these first couple of bans?
That's going to be
that's a big
questions,
question, right?
Because we haven't seen competitive 2.4 just yet. But Samuel going to be focused. That is a target ban against Tyra's. I'm really surprised to see Lyra actually taken off the board, but there's that Lance. Again, I'm not too crazy about mousesports picking up this Lance just because of their past history with it.
Heavy priority on these captains to start off with.
Yeah, like I said, SK likes that Arden, so they're going to first pick that Arden. I love mousesports target banning Tyrese and not letting him have his signature hero, Samuel. And I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think banning the Sky is really good because Great Khali has an amazing Sky. So they have done their homework today for sure. And Gwen is being taken away from Kvalifar, which is interesting because Kvalifar actually prefers melee. With Arden, makes a lot of sense here. So he's probably going to pick a melee weapon power carrier, like potentially Blackfeather or Rona here in this matchup. But I think Blackfeather might make sense for him.
The other thing is, when he did play ranged heroes, it was typically Ringo that he was playing. So Gwen was not a priority pick at all for SK Gaming. So I'm very surprised to see that ban. There's Kavalifar's Blackfeather, most likely, but there is the chance of that still going to Tyra's.
Yeah, but it would definitely fit the style of SK, right? That melee laner going on in. And finally eating into a little bit of bonus time. Those first 6 were very, very just straight away. They obviously knew what the plan was, and then taking a little bit longer to go into these first picks. And you can see the same thing over on the side of mousesports. Do you expect a melee, a laner to be locked in here for Mouse as well, or do you think they'll look towards jungle?
Yeah, they're probably going to pick their laner first, or, they're going to go with Rona. Actually,
Rona be their laner first still.
Yeah, Rona is good into Blackfeather. She can counter Blackfeather as long as she's even or ahead. Scarf is a great pick because then they're taking it away from Tyrese. And Scarf is really good in the jungle in terms of scaling through that mid-game power spike. And then SK is going to take that CP Kestrel, which is extremely dominant.
And this is a pick that the CP Kestrel, all of the American teams have been saying a lot about it. This is definitely a pick that it's got a lot of hype behind it, right? It's very, very powerful pick, and all the way through until the final pick of the draft as well.
Yeah, I really like the CP Kestrel. It has so much burst potential and can sneak around, but the Scarf is a really good counter to it. So I actually really like what mousesports did here.
Absolutely. Well, it's finally time to get on into our first game, sink our teeth into some Vainglory action, and we have none other than Dowsy and Forecourt Jester to guide us through the rift.
Thank you very much, Munchables. We're here at the Unified Western Live Championships. Time to kick things off Forecourt with SK Gaming versus mousesports.
It's going to be a heck of a game on this first set. You know, SK perhaps playing a little angry. That was what was mentioned. But when we talked to these guys, they said they got past it. They learned from it. But 33 health, man, that's got to sting.
Man, this is what we're all playing for. That trophy on the stage will be lifted on Sunday. But first, we have to kick the proceedings off. Game 1 of SK versus mousesports coming right up. And, you know, for SK, as you mentioned, it's redemption from that G2 moment at the end of Split. For Mouse, they are here and they are not really feeling the pressure because for them, it's all to win, nothing to lose.
Yeah, if they don't make it through, it's not like it's going to be really huge ramifications for these guys, but they have that spot. They have a chance to show off. This is a really good opportunity for them to strut their stuff.
Well, let's jump on to the Halcyon Fold. Game 1 of the Unified Western Live Championship, SK versus Mouse.
All right, so SK Gaming coming in. Historically, this is the team that's going to be favored. You heard a lot there from the analysts that these guys are, it's everything to lose.
With aggression as Amir King comes up very close. Kvalifar going to push on in and an early pause coming on through. So as we look to make sure everything is right for Forecourt, let's just talk about some of these opening picks here. Jetpacks is usually the person to watch for. SK Gaming's captain loves his unusual starts. Nothing too unusual. Going to pick up that protector contract to make sure that if an invade happens or if any early aggression happens, he are going to be nice and safe.
Well, Tyra's by himself in that jungle. If he gets jumped on, it's going to be rather rough because you're going to be expecting to see a CP Kestrel this round. And early on, well, throughout the game, if she gets jumped, there's very little that she can do until she becomes really overpowered into the late game. So until then, if you do have that protector contract, and we have that Arden on top of it, it's shields upon shields. That can go a long way to buffering the damage out of your opponents, and then you have a really good opportunity to return fire.
No, certainly, absolutely. You know, let's talk about some of the people on the stage here who's their first event. Tyra's.
Yep.
You know, many have been putting him as their favorite for Rookie of the Split. If there were to be such an award, that's who they would be wanting to give it to. Fateless, though, this is his first event as well.
Yeah, it's first time jitters for both sides, but they have a lot of confidence in their team, a lot of trust.
Certainly do. So we are jumping back onto the Halcyon Fold to get this game started. Everything ready to go, and the team's certainly feeling it. Scarf on Great Khali heading into the lane. Was thinking that was most likely going to be a jungle pick.
Yeah, when we did talk to these guys, there was definitely some comforts mentioned. Scarf was there, but we did actually assume it was that jungle, as you did say. So that's all right. Khali's, he's still good on it.
Wow, okay. Tyros is rooted by the Elder Treant, but Mouse didn't have vision. He's going to be getting away with it, but now he's got rooted up. It looks like Mouse are moving on in. And first blood of the Unified Western Live Championship goes to Mouse.
They try to kill, but they get a Treant, the Ancient Treant to boot for it there. So, but Mouse, aggressive rotations, right? SK perhaps just a little caught unaware on that one. Ember King is now just seeing that jetpacks can't come down, can't disrupt that farm that Rona's going to be picking up, and that leaves just kind of a split team here from SK.
Yeah, Fateless looking to try and steal away as much as possible. Looks like Tyros is getting in position to make sure that cannot happen, but Tyros going to get rooted up. This is Mouse looking to be very aggressive onto SK. Glitter shots raining down. Tyros looking to turn the fight. And Jetpacks, well, he only has his Vanguard available. It means that the movement speed is there, but the chase is not for SK.
Yeah, but Gaval doing great in their lane. He did not come down for the rotate, did not complete the trap, but you saw the difference, right? With Arden there versus not, it can just be a total 180 as Tyros gets those glimmer shots off.
Yeah, very aggressive moves coming out of SK as they come in, steal away that Elder Treant. Not going to find the kill. Mouse grouping up as three to make sure nothing happens. That is a root onto Tyra's great Giffian War. Kavalafar coming around the side. Fateless very low, but so is Jetpacks. Tyra's going to lay down the damage, and he picks up the kill onto Great Khali as well. Fateless over the wall. He will be safe, and Amir King making sure he gets as far away from trouble as possible.
Yeah, not really going to be any kind of ace at this round, but even just forcing Fateless to go back and then hit the back button from there. Ember King, yes, he will be able to go cross the fold. He will be able to pick up this farm, but it's that grouping of three. This is a lot of lost potential here for Mouse early on.
That's a big steal by Ember King. He's not going to get spotted here, I do not think, by Tyras.
Nah, they got to know.
Unless Tyros throws a cheeky glimmer shot. No, he gets away with it. So a nice little steal, gets a bit of gold back. If you look at it on your screen, SK Gaming currently pulling ahead by about 400 gold as far as things are concerned. Not a huge lead to begin things off, but you really don't want to be giving any lead to SK. And look at Tyros just into the lane, throwing out those glimmer shots, actually being blocked up by the wave there. So Great Khali kind of getting away with no damage.
And it doesn't find any kind of opportunity on top of Great Khali, but again, like a lot of the money is going over to SK. Just that wave itself farmed up did well.
Okay, Khali in a bit of trouble. That Impale will not save his life, and that's going to be Kavalafar taking the kill away. No respect shown to SK's aggressive moves.
Well, it's actually a little bit more of a counter to that, right? First blood, Mouse, they collapsed in. SK saying, okay, well, that's enough of that.
Going to be an Impale. Kavalafar deciding that he's going to go head-to-toe with Fateless, but here comes Jetpacks. Vanguards him out to safety, and that Protector contract on Jetpacks can be so crucial. If Tyros was to get jumped on top of as this Kestrel, a shield can be placed on top of him. Same for Kavalafar. This Black Feather, of course, has his on point to generate his own shielding, but more shielding just makes it so much more difficult for Mouse to deal with.
And once he gets into that level 6, he's going to be a heck of a lot more mobile at this point as well. We'll have to see what Great Khali can really generate in terms of positioning here, but Ember King is really going to have to be on point for those defenses as well. Right into the wall. That is going to be a key move for Ember King to keep Kavalafar off of Great Khali later on.
By SK roaming up into the lane. Tyra is going to show his face, go invis, but does take a bit of a damage for the Fire Spit comes out. Amir King pops his boots, will be able to get to safety as the group starts burning SK alive. They're sitting in it just trying to make a Great Khali dance for his life. A dance he's doing. He's dodging out those glimmer shots. Fateless coming into the lane here may force SK back.
I would actually expect SK to kind of stay the course on this one. They have a fountain advantage. They have that self-healing on K-Val. They can really just force Mouse up here because Ember King's not had the opportunity to go get that fountain.
One shot doesn't connect. That will be Great Khali. Once more dodging away from these skill shots. Kind of struggling on this Scarf as far as energy is concerned, but a big power spike purchase, Shatterglass for Great Khali.
Now, what Tasty Bacon said a little bit earlier on was that skill shot champions, skill shot heroes these days are actually packing quite a punch. And that's no different here for Scarf. But if he misses with that Shattered Glass empowered Spitfires, that's a lot of just lost opportunity right there.
Normally on a Scarf, first item we'll see a Frostburn.
Yeah,
so that
slow
you can
everyone
have
down.
the slows, especially against a Black Feather who's going to want to stay on top of your face. You can see Cavalifar diving in to make sure he gains all the CS and not only puts the damage on, but wow, one of those Dragon Spits connects, and that's a lot of damage traded. Tyra's in lane, Glimmer Shots flying.
Ooh, close.
That is Great Khali getting the heal from the fountain, but it's not done yet. One shot up in just a second, and I'm sure it's going to come out from afar.
Val.
K-Val taking a bit of damage, but here we go. It does look like SK wanted to turn things. Great Khali, the target as the Glimmer Shots fly his way, but not connecting onto the Scarf.
Fountains used on both sides, just really going to come down to Arden, that Protector contract. Past that, K-Val, he needs that level 6. He's going to be definitely a little bit more mobile at that point, but Great Khali, every time he catches him, he brings K-Val down half. That's going to seal a lot of that aggression, but he can just heal it right back up, and there's not really a lot of follow-up here from Khali at this point either.
Wow, look at that. One Glimmer Shot connects, and that is Great Khali down so much as far as health is concerned. It's about a
Both
quarter
those
of his
hits.
health. Yeah, 4 Glimmer Shots is practically what Tyra's needs to take the life of Great Khali. It does look Great Khali will go back here, so the defense now in this siege scenario is going to be difficult for Mouse to deal with.
Well, this is becoming a problem for those last hits on top of things. Just going home every few minutes here from Mouse has put them behind.
SK going to back off, not wanting to stick around. Great Khali comes back into the lane, has himself upgraded boots for that mobility, which is kind of the crucial thing for Scarf. He needs to be able to dance around the team fight, avoid K-Val, and kind of the stickiness that is Black Feather.
Now, when it comes to the items, we're looking at about 1,000 difference between the teams, but that has translated into Fateless still looking for that tier 3. K-Val, he has his. Great Khali and Tyra's, both of those crystals, they've actually gotten to that situation, but Tyra's and the Frostburn paired up here with K-Val, like the chasing potential is absolutely real here from SK, and we don't really have a ton really to counter that. It's up to Emmerking to do a lot of this peel. Fateless did just pick up that mask now, but we have infusions on deck here, and SK is just going to, again, keep that power spike in their favor if it does come to another fight.
Here comes Tyra's nice and close and personal. 1, 2, 3 Glimmer Shots, and that's going to be another kill going over to Tyra's. Nothing that Great Khali can do when Tyra's is allowed to sneak into the lane like that.
And you get slowed up, you're going to get hit by these skill shots, like hands down. Tyra's didn't even pop that infusion for that.
That's going to be the turret now focused down. The siege potential that Kestrel brings is so huge. That turret does not stand a chance, and now Fateless has to be careful that he doesn't get aggressed on. Without the turret for SK to worry about, the ability for them to now dive very deep onto this very squishy mousesports is fairly easy.
All right, so that's going to be a big major objective going over to SK. Not only is it the cash, but it's also that pressure, right? Any type of fight closer to the middle of the fold here, that's a longer retreat point for these guys. And again, with the chase ability here from SK, Arden's going to be speeding you up. K-Val's going to be barrel rolling forward. Tyra's has his active camo. We're probably going to be looking for those treads here soon enough. Jetpacks is into his 2 items, and he has that Crucible ready to go. So past that, yeah, you're going to have really just a long time here from SK to really apply pressure, and to really, if they do want to chase down Great Khali, if they want to chase down Emmerking, might be a little bit harder with his ability to roll through walls, but the pressure is absolutely all with SK right now.
Cavalifar finishing his 2nd item here. It's that Poison Shiv. Serpent's Mask Poison Shiv means there's a lot of sustain for Cavalifar. You can see him right now just tanking up this this gold mine. I'm going to go easily over to SK. Mouse a little bit late. Oh, that was a great active camo trap. Means that there's a lot for Amir King to think about as he goes back to the base. Another kill going to SK.
Yeah, 15-second timeout as he will take his time to come back. All right, Tyra's finds the possible back there, does disrupt it, but SK, you can see, right, there was nowhere for Emmerking to run right there. He was too far forward, and now we're just pushing up. There's going to be that 2v3 advantage just for a few seconds longer, but if Khali gets hit by his Frostburn, K-Val gets right up into him right there. I mean, this is a lot of burst potential here from SK, and we have no peel available from mousesports right now.
Yeah, no peel at all. Amir King will provide some, but he needs to get tanky if he's going to really be able to deal with it. That Glimmer Shot just eating through Mouse as they attempt to clear the wave. Clear the wave they do, but SK, they're just so far ahead. 4,000 gold at 10 minutes, and 4 kills. It's been Tyra's the story. Look at that damage onto the Scarf. Great Khali pops the boots will be able to get to safety behind his turret. Means he avoids potential one-shots, but he has to be careful. The dive potential is there. Gauntlet on jetpacks. Kvalifar can continue the dive. Good Impale will root Kvalifar down. Takes a bit of damage in the process from the goop. Tyra is also low on energy. Cuts the one shot, but doesn't quite connect with Great Khali.
Okay, game of inches on that one. Tyra is perhaps thinking that I for sure thought that was going to hit right there. And Emmer King still at that fountain. That was going to be a big problem for these team fights. But all right, he's back. Now we're going to have, again, this 3-man. But the sieging potential, SK is just outclassing at this point.
Certainly are. They're using their power, and that's a lot of damage down onto Fateless. Gauntlet Wars go down. That's going to be everyone trapped up, and only one more to cake. SK looking for an ace at 11 minutes, and they will have it.
Jetpacks low-key in with the gauntlet. What kind of reflex capability do we got? Nothing. And as everyone drops, it's going to be another turret on top of things. And just SK, right, very much favored into this one. They're feeling real good here into day one. Might not be into the top 2 seeding position, but they are still here to win. And SK have really brought us, 7,000 gold in 11 minutes. That's a really good way to start their weekend off.
Certainly are. Going to take away the first life of that Crystal Sentry as well. Just making the end game potential for SK even easier. 2 more kills onto that Crystal Sentry, and he is eliminated for the entirety of this match.
Okay, so Great Khali. Are we going to be looking into reflex? Probably not. But Emmer King at the same time, he has no Aegis even begun at this point.
Yeah, no, and that's a big problem.
Crucible even.
If they get caught up in that gauntlet, as you're pointing out, that's a lot of potential for Kvalifar and Tyros just to rip on through. You know, Amir King there, he's meant to be the one who can kind of take the barrage of glimmer shots and on-point damage from Kval, but currently he is struggling to really hold that front line together.
Now, remember talking about chaseability? Well, look at Kval. Tier 3 boots on top of an Aegis. He's sitting on 4 Tier 3 items. If you look at Fateless, who's trying to be that melee counter part at this point, he's sitting on 2. He's sitting on those Tier 2 boots. He does have a reflex, so at least Fateless is not going to be powerless when it comes to some of those crowd controls. But it's just unfortunate positioning for these guys. Like mousesports, they had that first blood. They had some really nice invade early on, but unfortunately from there, SK Gaming, they just got they brought the band together, and they are just making some fantastic music.
10 minutes ago, at 10 minutes, 2 minutes ago, I was saying that SK Gaming had a 4,000 gold lead. Now 2 minutes on, they have an 8,000 gold lead.
Going up and up.
Amount they've managed to double that. Gauntlet's going to go out. Stuns up to Fateless. He's meant to be able to take that damage, but unless he's on a target, he cannot sustain. One shot flies out straight into the turret. Really not going to be the target that Tyros was looking for. Mouse avoiding death for now, but this turret is going to take a beating as Kvalifar dives forward. Amir King looking to try and be the front line. That's going to be an impale, not quite connecting onto Tyros, but Mouse, they're certainly looking for the fight. Goop flies out. Great Khali positioning. Kval dropping low, gets a bit of a shield for himself, but an impale lands onto Tyros, as does the Dragon Spit. Now we're looking to see if that fountain's enough, as Tyros does have to fall back. Kvalifar diving in. First kill goes his way. Second kill goes to Tyros with the long-range stun, the snipe, and that will be an ace coming through for SK Gaming.
You might have thought, all right, Tyros, he's down low. We can make this happen. Gauntlet is down, right? No, not even a little bit. SK are really able to even poke back, get that better trade, and Kval just lunging forward. These guys are slick. They are avoiding a lot of the skill shots coming out from mousesports.
And SK at 14 minutes are looking to just finish things off right now, forecourt. They are not going to leave mousesports in a dark pit. They're going to put them out of their miseries. The Vein Crystal starting to drop. Kval dropping as well, but SK Gaming look like they should have this, and they do. Game 1 of our first best of 5 series goes to SK Gaming.
Yeah, no 33 hit point finish on this one, Dowsy. That is just going to be a complete victory from SK. First blood, sure, might have went over to Mouse, but that is really going to be the crowning achievement of that game for Mouse.
Yeah, no, certainly. They were able to get first blood of the tournament, but unfortunately for them, the follow-up of it wasn't quite there. And look at SK, this is just another job at the office for them. They're feeling very comfortable about their win, feeling very good about their win, but they know that it's a best of 5, and that's a long road.
mousesports was very happy to be talking to us about Arden yesterday. Didn't really come up there with SK, but they take it away, and look what happens.
Well, let's throw it back over to our analyst desk to break down that first game. Over to you, Munch.
Thank you very much, guys, and convincing victory there for SK. I do briefly want to touch on the fact that Mouse, right at the start of the game, they did get first blood. They kind of took the bull by the horns, but once SK got control, they didn't let go.
Yeah, it was just really dominant. Shortly after that first blood, mousesports, they tried to go for a second kill, maybe overstayed their welcome a bit as they tried to retreat. They were just chased down by SK, and from there, it just never seemed to swing any sort of momentum back towards mousesports. Lane dominance by Kvalifar. Look at the difference in CS that you can see on your screen. 143 to 96 over the course of this game. That was just a massive lead that mousesports was not able to overcome.
Yeah, and also just such a high damage composition from SK as well. The second anyone got caught out, and we saw it a couple of times where we'd see Great Khali just ever so slightly out of position, instantly his health bar would drop.
Yeah, Tyrese played that CP Kestrel so well when he was able to get that kill on Scarf in the 7-minute mark, sneaking up in the top bush and then just blowing Scarf up. And because of that, they then take the first turret and then they get the gold mine, and it gives them a significant gold lead on top of the CS lead. At that point, Kvalifar was 20 CS ahead of Great Khali in lane.
Yeah, and it started to get to a point where the snowball was rolling a little bit, and it was like, I'm not sure there's much of a way to get back into this one. So do we think going into the second game now, Mouse have to change things up in the draft, or is it something in-game that they need to change?
Yeah, like I said, mousesports needs to play their composition, execute it confidently. Lance would go in and get these roots, but there's no follow-up with a Goop, then a Rona, jump in, ultimate, Spitfire. There was a lot of missed opportunities that mousesports could have taken advantage of as if they just played with that synergy.
And some of those advantages, one of them was very early on. The first kill that SK did pick up, there was a really nice Goop that got put down onto both Tyras and Jetpacks, but then the Spitfire didn't come out until Tyras was already off the Goop. And then later on in the game, around the 13, 14-minute mark, there was a big team fight where it looked like mousesports may have been able to turn around, but Great Khali was level 10, did not have a single point in the Dragon's Breath ultimate, and we both looked at it and were like, if an ultimate comes out here, they win that fight.
Yeah, because CP Kestrel has no defense, and that's how most CP Kestrels play. So the Dragon Breath not only slows if you have it on the Kestrel, but it will review her because she's constantly taking tick damage from the Dragon's Breath. So I feel like that could have been a strategy mousesports could have used because their win condition was to eliminate that CP Kestrel. SK's composition, they want you to focus at Black Feather. He has Shiver Steel, he has Serpent's Mask and Poison Shift, so he's high sustain with the Bear from Arden. They want you to focus the Black Feather so CP Kestrel can do what she wants on the back line.
He can just sit on the back line, basically playing Legolas and just hailing arrows on into that fight. And we saw the sheer damage that can come out if you can get into that position. And we'll see whether these picks are going to be allowed in the second draft. Do we expect bans to change coming out here from Mouse? Are we going to see like something like the Black Feather banned away in this one?
I don't know if you can, because Black Feather, yeah, it was strong here, but I would say it's still far from being Kvalifar's strongest pick. You still have to focus. You have to take that Lyra off the board. You can't really allow that to get through. Now that you're on B side especially, that's a great first pick for SK on the A side. So I expect them to have to ban away the Lyra. They probably don't want to let the Samuel go through. Like, there's just too many picks that you want to take away from SK.
And I do just want to touch on something we mentioned earlier as well. SK, every time they've been on camera, they've been oozing with confidence, straight up game faces on. And we saw that in the game as well. We saw that with their positioning. Around, I can't remember exactly how long, I think it was around like the 10-minute mark. There was a team fight where SK were just like, come on, you want to fight us. Oh no, we're out of position. And just like baiting Mouse in.
Yeah, that was a critical fight, and that led to the loss of their second turret, and then it led to a 7K gold lead. And mousesports should not have engaged past that second turret. And I felt like that was a mistake that they made, and SK completely took advantage of it.
Yeah, and SK set them up to make that mistake. But we are into draft, and Baron going to be the first ban coming out here. What are we expecting from mousesports to reply?
Yeah, mousesports will probably ban away Lance, Lyra, or Arden here, I feel.
I would expect Lyra. It's the highest win rate for Jetpacks, and it's such a strong first pick that if they don't ban the Lyra here, I think that's just a big mistake.
Yeah. Already ticking into bonus time, though. This isn't what we saw in the first draft. We saw them just rattling through to start with.
I think SK here, they're going to go with Adagio on the pick. It's a very great flex pick because you can carry it, you can support it. There's so many combinations that work with Adagio. So it's a great pick from SK, and they can just now respond to what mousesports will pick here.
SK has even run it in the jungle before. We have seen Tyras on this hero. So
Tyras loves it.
They could flex this to any of the 3 roles.
Yeah, so very solid pick up there. Just as you rightly say, an open flex pick. But now Mouse, again, biting into that bonus time. I think they're a little bit unsure off the back of that game. I think it might have knocked them slightly.
Yeah, I think I would take Lance here and ban Arden, or take Arden and then ban Lance, and deny that Arden, that Adagio Lance composition. Arden is a great pick here. He's one of the top picked supports for EU because he offers that barrier and that protector contract style of play that we see in EU a lot. So I think here they're probably going to ban Blackfeather or melee hero that they don't want to Cavalier to be on, empowered by a support Adagio or Captain Adagio, for example here.
Yeah, I also like the Arden pick. I said it before the series started. They need to focus on trying to, get Jetpack a little uncomfortable. By taking Lyra and Arden off the board, this very likely forces that Adagio down into the captain position, and it kind of gives you a little bit of a better idea of what's going to come out from SK.
Absolutely. And Samuel, not necessarily the ban we're expecting. They're not going to fit that melee role, but Sky going to be banned out once again.
Yeah, see, they're banning Sky because they want to play BF. I think mousesports here needs to take either Kestrel here, or if they play the Blackfeather, they should take the Blackfeather with Arden, because that is a combination that is very strong that we saw in the early game. So mousesports needs to take either Kestrel or Blackfeather here if they want to have a good, because Kestrel is a good flex pick. She can be flexed to weapon or CP based on what SK is going to pick. And weapon Kestrel is actually decent into Blackfeather if SK decides to pick the Blackfeather into a Kestrel.
It's going to be using a lot of their bonus time here thinking about this pick, but it is going to be that Blackfeather, as Suijay suggested.
So we're starting to see that Mouse are actually replicating the composition that SK had in that first game.
And I think SK here is going to probably play to Rona, because Rona is actually good against Blackfeather, or definitely the way Cavalifar plays it. And I feel like they're going to round it out with Kestrel, potentially because CP Kestrel is just so strong in jungle. She has a fast clear, fast rotation, and as you can see from last game, she puts so much pressure in lane. So I feel like they'll probably end up with a Rona and a CP Kestrel pick here, and mousesports will need to respond. Oh, Petal comes out.
So where are we going with this? What is the Petal going to bring that we didn't see last game?
A lot of slows. It's all about the slow. You get the Frostburn on the Petal. It's just to slow targets up so that Rona can sit on them with a red mist. She self-slows herself when she uses that, so having the slows coming out from Petal and potentially Adagio means that she's going to be able to stick to targets extremely well, and I'm nervous for mousesports here because of this competition.
However,
this
they
is
can
an
pick
SK comp.
CP Kestrel is actually good into Petal, but they're not going to go with the CP Kestrel, so they're going to go with the Ringo. I assume that's going to be a lane Ringo with a CP Blackfeather. Which is okay, but he's weak against Petal early. He needs to get that level 8 power spike to be able to start doing something against SK's comp here.
So the compositions are now locked in, and those last two picks definitely not quite what we were expecting coming on into this one. A little bit of a different angle from these two teams, and we'll see whether Mouse can come back into this series and tie things up, or whether SK are going to start to lead things a little bit more strongly. That's not a phrase, but we're going to pass it over to two guys that are very good at phrases. It's Dowsy and Forecourt Jester.
Thank you very much, Munchables. At the end of that game, Forecourt, I was saying how for SK, it just looked like another day at the office. Well, fun fact for those who don't know, Mouse and SK actually share offices in Germany, and they kind of have that friendly rivalry going between them as well. So I'm sure, as far as this series is concerned, it is just another day at the office, but it's office pranks as well.
Well, SK definitely getting the upper hand on that one. It's who knows what kind of pranks they actually pull on each other. I know I keep a Nerf gun in the back of my computer case.
Okay.
But when it comes down to this, this is now here to win. No pranks, no nothing. But mousesports, they pick up that Arden, they take away the Blackfeather. We'll have to see if they have success with it though.
Certainly, it's very interesting just looking at that composition that SK drafted Forecourt, because in 2.0 we've seen kind of the fall of double sustain as far as Lyra and Adagio being picked into a composition is concerned. Well, currently we've got triple sustain. Adagio, Rona, and Petal for SK Gaming. I'm really excited to see how that one pans out as we jump back onto the fold for Game 2 of this series.
Now, we did also talk a little bit about momentum, a little bit about if you get behind the 8 ball there, could you actually just kind of right out of the tournament, can a 1-0 turn into a 2-0, into a 3-0? Because nobody wants to go home on a 3-0.
What is this? SK Gaming, the aggressive move straight on in. Amir King has gone straight over to the backs to try and maybe steal some away, but what he does not know is SK Gaming are coming straight on home to look for this Arden. I think for Amir King, he can steal away at least one of these doubles, but there's no way he can look to steal both of them, so he's going to have to be very... Oh, he might be able to actually, because SK Gaming, instead of going straight home to their backs, they went Treant.
Yeah. but they're not going to see Emmer King up in lane. In fact, I'm not entirely too sure that the Blackfeather's shown himself there either, but they are trying to just split their gold options at this point, right? This is a really nice way to counter if you think that there's a 3-man aggression coming in, and you got that Rona, you got that pedal. That is really something hard to deal with to a comp that has no escapes. You know, Blackfeather's not going to go anywhere early on, neither is that Ringo.
Certainly. So Ringo, a hero in 2.4 that we haven't seen too much of. Kind of fell out of favor, but look at this. Cavalifar going deep. That's a lot of damage, and the fire burning away. Fateless still in lane on this Blackfeather. Going to chuck out one of those on points just for the love tap more than anything. Tyra's, he's looming. Tyra's, he loves his ranged CP junglers, and Petal is one that he's played so many times during the regular split.
And when we were actually at the end of that draft, you're like, so who's the CP here for Mousesports? Is it going to be a double? Are they going to split? It will be Fateless into a bit more of that Crystal Blackfeather this round, but he's getting bullied out pretty hard early here.
Yeah, it's going to be his doubles stolen away. Did manage to secure his back healing camp, and you can see that once more it is Amir King headed on over to steal away the doubles of his own. So at least for Mouse, they're stealing away and kind of keeping the gold even. But it's not Amir King you want the gold to be on. It's Fateless you want the gold to be on.
It's still gold going to the team, though. It might not be on who you want it to, but it's not like SK is double dipping, right?
Yeah, no, certainly, but look at the CS differences, just on mousesports in general. For Fateless 6 CS, for Amir King 7 CS, that is usually unseen as far as captain and jungler on the same team is concerned.
But mousesports realizes that they're just not going to be able to do anything about this early on. Like, between the Munions and Jetpack's there by himself, like, this is just straight out bully. So Fateless is getting what he can. He goes up to lane, he gets that soak, and Emmer King, if he gets those backs, again, you are robbing SK, but it's just the best of a bad situation.
Mouse finally reacting to this invade, sending Great Khali down from lane, but Cavalifar's going to meet him halfway and dive straight on forward. Amir King in trouble. Tyrus can trampoline over, and he goes straight on for it. First blood goes over to Cavalifar.
SK with a nice early game bullying comp. Fateless did not even attempt that fight. Just made sure he picked up those jungle, and now he's going to be actually heading back and coming back here in a few. But it just, unfortunately, is not a comp from Mousesports here that's going to be able to deal with this early on. That's why we have been seeing Emmer King just kind of going across the fold, trying to get what they can, because they realize that this early is going to be real painful for them.
It certainly is. 1,000 gold early lead here for SK Gaming, purely through a bit of that CS they're stealing away. Cavalifar, though, getting dived on Tom. A lot of damage, but he is able to jump away to safety. In fact, may even stay in lane. Has Book of Eulogies, Jetpacks has that Protector contract, and Tyras and Jetpacks continuously just putting the aggression on, which means that Mousesports can't actually deal with the lane because they are at risk of losing all of their jungle gold.
And there's really no reason for Rona to go anywhere. Like, with those people up in lane, that's going to push, so doesn't actually even have to leave.
Mouse roaming down to the jungle to purchase some stuff up. Not really many like massive purchases coming out. Amir King pops his boots. He's in trouble. Tyrus is chasing him on down. Crystal Sentry is here. 4-minute mark means it has spawned. But SK, well, they're deciding they want to just take this away. Jetpack's going to grab the aggro. And there's nothing Mousesports are doing about this. First Crystal Sentry, 4.5 minutes for SK.
I'm rather surprised that the trap there in the bush is actually still going to be ticking. But giving over that Crystal Sentry this early on, right, that's actually one of the bigger tools here for Mouse to have something of a safer jungle. But losing out that life so quickly is not a good sign for Mouse, I'll tell you that.
Certainly not, especially as it's Fateless, the one being bullied on the side of Mouse. That is kind of his only tool to use to survive in the jungle if Jetpacks and Tyras come a knocking. So taking those lives away and making sure that when the fights start to happen, the big 3-man fights around the back of that jungle happen, if SK can remove that Crystal Sentry very early on, then Mouse kind of lose one of their comeback tools.
All right, so Great Khali is actually keeping up with the last hits this round, does pick up the Sorrow, as Fateless just cut and chunked out, man.
But Tyra is continuously diving forward. That's the Frostburn picked up first for this CP Petal, and she is going to be making sure that if Mouse get into an engagement, there's no running away.
Yeah, and this is just, again, piling on the bulliness right there. That Frostburn can pay out in spades. It sets up for Cavalifar, it sets up for Jetpacks to catch up, and they're even just going to be sieging right here.
Yeah, Mouse completely out of position as far as rotation are concerned, and SK Gaming looking to abuse that in its entirety. This turret down to just a sliver of health, and SK, they know that the next time Mouse are slightly far out, that turret's dead.
So Jetpacks didn't have like a straight 4-minute fountain this time, but even going into the 5-minute. Like, King had to go home to pick up his at the 6-minute mark. So that's why this push was able to just do so well.
Cavalifar coming into the lane. King can use that Vanguard to safety, but SK just putting the pressure back onto Mouse. They may even look to sit here in lane in a 3v3 scenario to really try and put the pressure on Mouse, make sure they're not farming. Instead, what they're going to do is send Tyrus back to the jungle so he can keep up in gold. He's got 30 last hits to the 23 of Fateless.
He has kept himself rather far ahead. The 7 last hits of King haven't gone anywhere lately, and again, that's kind of what you do want to be put in there. He's even going to be trying to freeze out this lane, but K-Val's not going to be having any of that. There's still a power difference here, right? K-Val is looking real strong there in the lane, is actually still leading on top of Great Khali despite that Sorrow Blade, but Fateless, like, without that completed Crystal Tier 3, he's not really contributing much here.
Minion wave being taken down by Mouse, so trying to avoid any scenario of a turret siege
Chip away.
here.
Wow.
Chip away, like water in a river. Just that stone will eventually disappear, and that's kind of the story of this first turret.
Okay, Fateless is making that rotation, did get himself a little bit of farm. He is level 6, it's huge for him, but with the siege now coming in, it's probably curtains for this turret.
Yeah, that's going to be a Hellfire Brew flying out.
Oh,
Hits
and
a minion. That is not what you want. Cavalifar going to dive forward. That is the first turret going down. And Adagio comes through,
Fateless.
but Fateless gets completely destroyed. And he will be just thinking about that alternating current that he hasn't yet completed at this 7.5 minute mark.
Yeah, it's still a little bit of a wish away, but Jetpacks, I got to give him a huge credit for that versus judgment right there. They knew that this turret was going to be that mark. Oh, it's not even going to be an alternating current. No, we're just going to go for those big bad hits right there. So Fateless, if he, just like last round with this Scarf on that Shatterglass, if you hit the skill shots, it's fantastic, but when you miss it, you're really throwing a lot of power away.
Yeah, no, and Jetpack's able to use that Versatile Judgment, like you mentioned, as a zoning tool. Makes things so difficult for mousesports because they've got this kind of composition where Ringo, he's going to be doing whatever damage he can, skirting around the back line,
from
firing
afar,
as much as he can, but it's likely not going to be onto prime targets. Whereas Fateless and Amir King on the Arden and the Black Feather, they're going to be wanting to be right up there and personal, getting dirty in the action. And so when Jetpacks puts that Versatile Judgment out, it forces Great Khali to move backwards, and all of a sudden a 3 versus 3 becomes a 3 versus 2.
Yep, and even if it's not a zoning tool and they're caught in it, it's now a killing tool, and that's exactly what happened on that one. So it's real good for SK. Their lead 3K or so, and that's going to be second item here for Jetpacks on top of things. So Protector, we got that Fountain, the Aegis ready to go. I mean, all you need from here is Treads, and you're pretty much set for this early game.
Yeah, the Gauntlet's going to have almost no effect if that Crucible is used to its extent. That's the second Crystal Sentry losing its life. It's just every 4 minutes going down. Cavalifar diving forward. He has Sorrow Blade on this Rona and the Red Mist. It is certainly making Mouse see red. They're going to continue stealing away these jungle camps, SK here, as they put the pressure on. Fateless in trouble, going to have to use that Rose offensive defensively.
Yeah, the Rose defensive on that one, but into the fray, out of the fray, it's still just huge pressure and map dominance. SK just continuously, like a machine, they get those advantages, they push up. More advantage, push up. It's one turret down now, but they're gearing up for another big push, and with the current advantage that they have when it comes to the items, well, maybe not against Great Khali, he does have some crit online, but that's really all mousesports has in the tank.
That's kind of what I was wanting to put talk about just now, Forecourt, is that I actually really like what Mouse are doing as far as itemization is concerned. That Shadowglass, there's a lot of squishy targets on the side of SK, so they're trying to get pure damage so they can make fights happen, but Cavalifar, he's just such a threat. Tyrus dives forward, they have the sustain. Gauntlet goes down, it catches only Jetpacks, but does create the zone necessary to get Great Khali to safety. The question is Mouse safe? It looks like they will be for now. That is a Hellfire Brew landing onto Tyrus. Cavalifar very content just sitting at depth's distance, really thinking that he can take the fight. Dives on in, Fountain comes out and Cavalifar able to disengage. Tyrus so low, Fountain force. Fateless looking for a snipe, looking to just try and lay down the damage with that on point, but it does look like SK are going to fall back, get some healing from this camp and disengage the fight.
Well, Great Khali and Fateless really able to put out a lot of poke there. Didn't get that kill, but it's enough to keep SK really at bay. And Tyrus did not go into any kind of beef. He picked up that Shatterglass just when you were talking about it. So it is a little bit more of a glass cannon against glass cannon kind of comp, but SK have a heck of a lot more sustain available to them.
Game 1, 10-minute mark, 4,000 gold lead for SK. Game 2, 10-minute mark, 4,000 gold lead for SK.
Like clockwork.
Consistent gameplay coming out of SK. Exactly what you want to see here when you're at the Spring Live Championship. You want to make sure that every team is bringing their A game consistently.
We got infusions ready to go from SK. It's still just a dream for mousesports. Again, really showing the gold difference, but now we're also trying to play a little bit of hide and seek. There goes the sentry. It's going to be hiding for the rest of the match because no more of them are going to be popping out.
Yeah, that's huge for SK. Now can fight in the jungle where they please, whenever they please, and Mouse, well, they can't really do much about that. If they were to have protected their Crystal Sentry, bought some minion candy, then perhaps they can put up a massive fight that could bring them back into this game, but that is just not an option anymore.
Okay, Fateless, few seconds left on that on point, only clip jetpacks, but it's a big siege now setting up for SK.
Yeah, minion candy on that minion wave, and SK looking to try and do the damage to this turret. They can't hard commit. Kvalifar has to be a little bit careful, hasn't quite built up the defenses necessary to be able to just take pure damage without actually being in a fight. But SK, once they chip away, try and steal away some of these jungle camps, Fateless perhaps a little bit out of position. He goes very low. That's going to be the fountain keeping him alive, but the tension now onto Amir King. He is going very low. Gauntlet to try and separate himself from the damage, and SK, they're not able to find a kill, will have to retreat.
Had to use everything in the book right there for Mouse, but they do live. That's huge for them. It's going to be SK now kind of rinse repeating, though. They're looking for this siege. Fateless is back in good form. Needs to hit these on points.
Needs to hit them. That is kind of the bread and butter of a CP Blackfeather, is on point, execute.
Yep. If you can actually land all that, that's pretty much the recipe for success. But so far, even that's going to be a harder and harder order to fill at this point. Kval's starting to get into some of that shielding. You see Tyra is actually looking for his Aegis on top of that, and I mean jetpacks is not really going to be the target anyways.
Yeah, Kvalifar going to finish an Aegis for himself, really putting pressure onto Fateless as they feel like he's the major damage threat. It is going to be Great Khali itemizing towards a breaking point next item, about 400 gold away from that. So if mousesports do find themselves in a bit of an like a prolonged engagement, and actually Great Khali with his crit chance will be able to build up the damage. It's only Kvalifar who has armor, and so Tyras and jetpacks do have to be a little bit careful that they're not just feeding those stacks over to Great Khali.
That is definitely going to have to be something that they keep aware of as we continue on. Still looking at infusions for SK, and they're still pushing forward.
That damage straight onto Fateless. He is glass cannon on this Blackfeather. No armor to deal with Kvalifar, and Kvalifar just so much potential, has that weapon infusion in his back pocket. Tyras, of course, has one ticking away as we speak. There's Kvalifar diving in. SK looking for a bit of poke. They do take a bit in return as Mouse not going to just allow themselves to be damaged without throwing it all back. Fateless looking to try and get back to base, but his forces stick around as SK are looking to siege. They're going to dive straight into Great Khali. He gets out, but Fateless, he does not. That is him going down to Kvalifar. And as we say it, that's the turret. Jetpacks does go down. Mouse able to find a return kill, but it's Amir King in trouble. That's the shielding necessary to keep him alive, and he will just about get out. Great Khali trying to be aggressive, but this Ringo cannot afford to really take it head to toe with Arona and Pedal. In fact, they're diving over. They're looking for Amir King, and Amir King will go down. Great Khali looking to trade the kill. Red Mist keeps Kvalifar alive. What a monster he is on these melee weapon power carries.
Yeah, not only was it that red miss, but Tyra's just blowing up Khali right there. Fateless is coming back, finally second item, but Khali was really the big driving force between mousesports on that one. Is Fateless actually going to chase this one down? No, looks like Kval's going to be all right, but again, like Khali had some fantastic positioning there, worked out well with Emmer King, especially with that gauntlet. We're able to bring down jetpacks, who was tanking out turret for a lot of that fight. So they were able to capitalize on one, just off the mark second, but it's signs of life, but I'm just not sure it's enough to really bring them back into this game.
There she is, the beautiful beast that is the Kraken. We didn't get to see her last game, as
the game was over
by this time SK had finished it, but 15-minute marks the Kraken now onto the Halcyon Fold, and SK can certainly use that as a tool to bait mousesports into a fight. If mousesports aren't to take the fight and SK take the Kraken, then it could just be a game-winning push.
7,000 gold between these teams at the 15, and Emmer King's getting hit.
Yeah, it is going to be Kvalifar diving forward, but the Petal is nowhere near. It's just a bit of a brave face from SK, and they can afford to do it. They have the healing. Kvalifar still playing aggressive. Tyra's all this time at the shop, just looking to see what kind of pair of boots he's going to wear today.
Does Petal wear boots? Well, she is definitely going to be wearing them today. SK is actually doing this 2v3, almost looking like invulnerable. Those bullets from Ringo just bouncing off K-Bao. He heals it right back up. He has jetpacks there on top of it, stealing out this jungle, really containing Mouse. And Mouse don't really have a lot of options for vision in the jungle at this point as well. So if you push up like this, you really left wondering, what is SK doing? And is it going to be that Kraken?
Yeah, no, I certainly feel like there will become a point in the next maybe 2 minutes, forecourt Jester, that SK just decide it's going to be Kraken time. Well, okay, 2 minutes, that's an over-exaggeration. 2 seconds.
Within 2 minutes.
Right, it is true. They're not actually going for it. It is a bait. They're trying to see if Mouse will come in, and the vision game is there. Journey boots completed for Great Khali. Definitely gives him ability to dance around the fight, but you're right. He isn't quite here. Is now, but Amir King forcing to use that gauntlet. Tyrus dives in, but a reflex spot quickly gets him back out again. Does take a bit of damage, but it's only a weapon power Ringo, so those Hellfire Brews don't really hurt too much.
Now, the Hellfire Brew is actually landing on top of these Munions more often than not. You can't actually shield a Munion, so it's guaranteed to hit, and the splash, very likely to hit Tyrus at that point. It doesn't really matter at this point. Tyrus did use that Aegis, but it does not look like there's going to be a lot of follow-up invade here.
No, this Kraken going down without a hitch, and Mouse, they are deciding that they're not really going to look... Oh, they might... No, there's no way they can really steal that away. So Kraken unleashed, and this means now for mousesports, they have to defend the base with the Kraken pushing in.
Well, we got a contraption on top of things here for jetpacks. He's essentially in final form. Like, that's 5 tier 3 items, and that last slot's just going to be there for flares. But with the Kraken coming through, it's hard to say that mousesports is going to weather the storm.
No, certainly. It does seem like this could be the beginning of the end. But Mouse, they do have some crucial damage items. A 3 damage build for Great Khali does mean that this Ringo can certainly lay down damage if he can survive. Fateless only needs that Shatter Glass and that alternating current to really be a threat. But Mouse, they need to pull the trigger, and they need to do so now. Kavalafa diving in. That's an Atlas being laid down, but it just doesn't do any work. And now the Kraken has breached the base.
All right, so as they just continue to march on, like, K-Val's actually getting really good disruption. It's keeping Mouse on their toes. Kraken's down to half, so this could still continue. I'm just not thinking it is.
Gauntlet is 20 seconds away. That is Mouse's main tool to actually take a
Look
fight.
At the split
and
here.
There's no way they can really do anything. The split from SK just so good. The Vein Crystal dropping as we speak. And that will be SK Gaming taking down the Vein Crystal. No flashbacks to their game with G2 as this second game goes the way of SK.
Slow, steady, methodical. Like SK, they take really just the same game again and again. They have such fantastic early game rotations. They don't give up much, if anything, early on. And by that 10-minute mark, 2 games back to back, they are consistently ahead by the same amount. The positioning of the map and just the things that are living are very much the same. So these guys seem to have just mousesports on lockdown.
Right, absolutely. It does definitely feels like SK, they've done their homework and they know exactly what they need to be doing to take these games. Very clean, but not only very clean, these are not drawn out games. SK, when they know they are ahead, when they know that they can shoot that final shot to take out mousesports and finish the game, well, they go for it. There's the builds, and you can just see such a disparity of difference as far as SK's power compared to Mouse.
Well, mousesports even getting less kills than game number 1. It was a 10-3 finish earlier, but SK this time a bit more measures. He said 5-2. Not really big on the kills, not very bloodthirsty, but still very much like clockwork that these guys push in. Now, Great Khali had some good moments. He had some great positioning, but 3 items at 17 minutes, and you don't have those defenses built up. You are sorely lacking as a carry by that point.
Yeah, Great Khali certainly behind, but Fateless as well, just continuously
100%
pressured out of his jungle. And, you know, Tyrus, that was a clean state for him. 5-0-3. He had 100% kill participation, really bringing the game. But enough from us, forecourt Jester. Let's see what our analyst desk has to say about that second game.
Thank you very much, guys. Another convincing performance there from SK, but a different side of a convincing performance. It wasn't quite as aggressive. It wasn't quite as, like, just push and win as fast as possible. Yeah. Also, not very bloodthirsty game either. There was 5 kills total from SK.
Yeah, it was a very passive game that SK played, but still, as has been mentioned, a very convincing game. Their composition just scaled a little bit later. It was a little bit of a later, game composition that they drafted, and they played it extremely well.
Yeah. And I mean, there was a moment about 7 minutes into the game where we're talking, watching the game. You guys were saying, okay, SK, they're doing well, but they need to get a turret now if they want to win with this composition. as we say that, like clockwork, they immediately go for a dive onto the turret.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they did. And Jetpacks actually carried that fight. If you notice, they got the turret, Kavar jumped onto it, and Jetpacks knows they don't have Crucible, lands a clutch Adagio ultimate, gets that 1 kill, gets the gold mine, and that puts them at a huge gold lead advantage as well, and it allowed them to continue to snowball. And like I said, Petal won the early game, right? Jungle was very important in this matchup. Petal at one point had 90 CS, and Blackfeather had 50, so almost double the CS. And here is the fight here, the critical fight where Kavalifar, I love his Rona build. If you look at the Serpent Sorrowblade build, he does a really good job of landing the ultimate. That's a lot of weapon power.
This is the dive.
And this is the dive where you can see, look at Jetpack's positioning here. He lands that clutch ultimate, gets the kill, and then mousesports has to back up at that point.
And it's so clean the way they get out, get the turret, back away again, and manage to survive. But then, I mean, as we said, very convincing game. Regardless of anything else, SK were very much in charge.
Yeah, and the thing that impressed me the most is the way that they were able to play these two drastically different styles. In that game 1, it was all about Kavalifar getting this huge lead in the lane and being able to control Great Khali, whereas this time it was Tyra's getting a big CS lead in the jungle. So, you know, the questions over, was Tyrus going to be nervous coming into this one? Is he going to be able to perform? I think he's just silenced those critics already.
Yeah, absolutely. And proving as well that SK is a multifaceted team. They're not relying on one single superstar. This is very much a team, and anyone can step up to the plate and finish out these games. But we're into our 3rd draft, and potentially at this rate, final draft. As SK, they've looked dominant. What are we expecting out of this one, Suijay?
Yeah, they're going to continue to follow the draft that they did from game 1. So mousesports going to take away that Samuel, and then Lyra's going to be banned on that B side. And most likely, mousesports will probably take the Lance here. Since they're more comfortable on it, I don't think they're going to take the Arden. So mousesports will probably take Lance, SK will take the Arden, and then it might follow the same ban draft phases that we saw in game 1.
Even though mousesports has said like they want to get their comfort picks, that's how they think they can win, I think they need to shake it up. That's exactly what they're going to do here, grabbing the Sky instead of going for the Lancer Arden.
And the Sky has been banned in both previous games. However, this is the first time we're seeing a pick that's not been captain first, right? Both teams have been heavily prioritizing captains first.
Yeah, and I like this pick. They're changing it up against SK. Now SK has to think about it. I think they'll probably go with the Arden that they're normally comfortable with, because that's going to allow like a melee hero, like a Taka, etc., to jump onto the Sky, get a Vanguard, and basically lock down and delete the Sky. So they're going to ban something that works well against that. So like Lance is a good ban because Lance and Sky is very strong against melee. So actually they're going to ban the Glaive and leave Lance open. So let's see what mousesports will take away. I think most likely they will ban something that they don't want Sky to face, or they don't want to see that Blackfeather Arden combination.
I think another reason the Arden is left open, or the Lance, sorry, is left open, is because neither of these teams have a very good track record. The Lance, I mentioned earlier, the Lance for mousesports only has 1 win out of over half the games that they have played. They picked up the Lance. Meanwhile, SK, they only have a 30% win rate on this Lance, and it is their 3rd most picked hero. So I don't think mousesports is going to be too worried about the Lance coming through either.
So basically, neither team really heavily prioritizing that Lance at this stage. But Gwen is going to be locked in for the first time here in the tournament, and it's Kestrel banned away as well. Kestrel was integral to that first victory for SK. So very different draft, all things considered.
Yeah, Samuel is open, so Samuel will be probably taken by SK, and Idris is picked up by mousesports. I really like this pick, especially into a Gwen along with a hyper carry like Sky that can put some damage in the back end. So I like that composition from them here. I think the last pick they have a few options, but it looks like Lance or Finn may be the best picks here for mousesports.
Yeah, I mean, the Idris is a pick we didn't see much of during the regular season. It was the 2nd least picked hero across the entire regular season. Lance is going to be that final pick, so mousesports is going to try and make it work again.
And I mean, it's a little while since we've seen them play, right? It's a little while. They've been practicing. Perhaps they've somehow managed to innovate with this Lance and figured out how it's going to work within their team. But what are we expecting with the Sky and the Idris locked in? Where are these going to be going? What are they going to be building?
Yeah, Idris is going to build a lot of bursts, so Tension Bow Swordblade potentially will be coming out. Sky is going to get that Frostburn to help Idris lock down whoever they're focusing. And Lance needs to basically combo all that. And this is a huge point for mousesports. They have to combo their abilities. Like last game, the gauntlets didn't make any difference in the game. And the first game, the Lance Roots were not followed up on. So mousesports need to change things up to win this game 3.
And that's why I really like this Black Feather pick that SK grabbed there as their last pick. So difficult to lock down that hero when that's the entirety of what mousesports is trying to do, is lock down SK.
And you've got that Arden to tie in with the Black Feather, but it's time to head into the game once again. So for the 3rd time now, I will pass it over to our wonderful casters.
Wow, I love what SK are doing here for court. Game 3, and they take that CP Black Feather for Tyros, and he says, I will raise you my CP Black Feather in this game.
Well, it's going to be hard to do less, I feel, at that point. Fateless just got shut down from minute 1. He was always an item behind. He built up the shield, and he just really wasn't that big issue. But Idris coming into this one. Dowsy, you're kind of the resident Idris fanatic at this point, but you said you even didn't like this pick.
It's not that I don't like it. I think that Idris and Sky is a very strong combination. When you pair it with a Lance for the frontline potential, it's definitely strong. I just feel like it is a very risky pick. Mouse, they are 2-0 down. They haven't really shown any aggressive or proactive moves, and I feel like with Idris, you have to be the proactive player. We'll have to find out though, Forecourt, because as we head onto the Halcyon Fold, Mouse currently 0-2 down. This tournament is single elimination. And if SK take game 3, well, they're through to day 2.
Yep, 2-0 is not exactly a great spot to be in at this point. So making that 3 would be a dream for SK, but Emmer King, yeah, you're going to get denied at this point. Not allowed back in this early on, but you know, these guys said that they had a plan for Idris. When we talked to them, Mouse said perhaps we will bring it out. They have been practicing it a little bit. So we're going to have to see what Fateless can actually do, because 0-2 down, I'm hoping he's having a strong mentality here for Game 3.
Right, so that's very interesting. Fateless on the Idris. That means it's a jungle Idris coming out for mousesports, and Great Khali is taking that Sky into the lane. Now, that is fairly unusual. Usually, if you see Sky in the lane, you expect it to be a weapon power Sky, not a CP Sky, which would make a little bit more sense in this composition. Currently a bit of a battle coming out over this Elder Tree, and SK going to take control of the aggro, but they're diving forward onto Amir King. On point gonna land. That's a lot of Heartthrob stats, and Amir King gonna go down. First blood goes to Jetpacks. That's the Elder Tree, and going to Tyras, and now Fateless, he's in a world of hurt as Tyras will find that second kill.
Buddy bullies right here from SK. Pick up pretty much the clean sweep on that one. 2-0 and the Trance. So they're going to reward themselves a little bit more of a trip here over to Mouse's Jungle, and Great Khali, like, his hands are tied. He's got to be stuck up there, and Emmer King by himself is just going to get bullied out. And that's not going to be even like a result of a fight. If he's already down half, Fateless comes in, they got to get that Trance.
Yeah, this is just reminiscent of the second game, previous game. Once more bullying as far as these jungle camps are concerned. And I really like Black Feather into Idris as well. It's one of the hardest heroes to deal with, especially when you play lane Idris. But we'll talk about it in a second, as Tyros is in a little bit of trouble. He is getting everything as far as camps are concerned. He's also landing such hard hitting on points. It does look like SK going to stick around. Fateless and Amir King are split, so it's very difficult for them to secure this. And once more, they do not. Jumping onto Fateless, the action just does not cease. Tyra's just laying down so much hurt. Full Heartthrob, but he can't quite find that execute, so Fateless going to get away with his life.
And Emmer King is going to piece and see what he can do to pick up any kind of last hits for the team off to the side, because already 2 minutes in, over 1,000 gold between these guys. Kval been dancing in the lane. We haven't been looking at him, but he's hitting at 23 of those last hits. Same there with Great Khali, but the jungle is where the advantage is being accrued.
Yeah, Amir King going to run into Jetpacks. He is a little bit low, but he should be fairly safe to escape there. So going back to the point of Idris versus the Black Feather. Wow, okay, never mind. 3 minutes. Tension bow for Kvalifar.
Okay, Kval, I know that you really like this, especially on your melees. That on-hit Lance last year was fire, but 3 minutes in, this is terrible news for mousesports.
Yo, it certainly is. The only thing that kind of works well for SK, for Mouse, is that Great Khali on this Sky has a fairly decent amount of range on the CP Sky, so he is able to land the forward barrage onto the wave. He doesn't have to be in auto attack distance of the Gwen, so really the only silver lining is that Kvalifar may not be able to use that tension bow to its full effect in lane.
Yeah, but team fights, man, that's a whole nother situation right there.
Especially when Fateless and Amir King are going to be diving very close to melee heroes, and that's exactly where the tension bow does its work. Look at that. Oh my gosh, where did you go? I stand corrected. Great Khali gets melted.
Yeah, there's not much left of Great Kelly after that, but that's also kill number 3 to SK here, just before the jungle intensified. Normally we see the 4-minute mark, you save up your gold, you go and get these big power spikes, but SK have had it for up to a full minute earlier.
2,000 gold lead at 4 minutes. That's insane stuff
Going up
for
and
SK. This is their most dominant start to a game so far in this series, and you kind of wonder, are the backs of Mouse broken?
It's not looking good, especially Emmer King here.
Yeah, especially it's a second kill going over. So much domination, 4-0, and Mouse, they're not dealing well with these early power spikes, and it's so hard to deal with anyway.
Well, Fateless on this jungle Idris has certainly not made a mark, but they've been starving out Fateless game after game after game now, and that's just such a tough position to deliver.
Great Cully in trouble as they're going to dive forward. They're not quite finding the killing blow, but an on-point and a buckshot slash boomstick slash just any burst damage that SK have, and that's Great Kelly removed from the Halcyon Fold.
Well, wait till that ace comes online. Kavalvar's not too far, he skedaddles, no problem, but once that stun comes through, people are going to melt.
Yeah, absolutely. Before Barrage goes out, the Protector contract used to minimize some of the hurt that Kavalvar was feeling, but man, it is such a dominant start for them. As mentioned, it was 2,000 gold lead, and it's progressing further and further. Every fight that SK win, every advantage that they take for themselves, it's really just not going to mean anything but disaster for Mouse.
Oh, bad to worse. Still looking for tier 3s. There we go. Great Kelly does pick up that shatter. But at the same time, we picked one up for Tyra's, and then Kavo goes right through, picks himself up that 6 sins, but an infusion on top of it. This isn't even 6-minute gameplay.
This is EU just looking to play that early aggressive play style here on day 1 in the regional day when they don't have to worry about NA. They're worrying about making it to the stage where NA will then face them tomorrow. But man, SK, they are bringing an entirely new early aggression to the stage, and I'm loving it.
SK said that they had some really good statistics on the NA scrims, and that mousesports, if they can get through mousesports, they can take out Cloud9 no problem. And well, they're delivering on at least on that first part of the promise.
Many people fail to realize how squishy Idris has to be. It is. You have to build early defense on him unless you are snowballing into the lead. That's the only time when you can really just go straight damage on the Idris. I'm very interested to see what build he prioritizes. In the jungle, I'm a little bit privy to going towards a Poison Shiv, Serpent's Mask, and then perhaps a Tension Bow third, maybe even a Breaking Point for this really sustained damage. It's very low damage, but once you get that Breaking Point stacking up, then it does work. I'm very interested to see if Fateless goes for something similar.
Well, a Breaking Point might be in the cards, but it's really delayed at this point. 7 minutes, still looking for that. We don't even have those Divergent Fates even close to being unlocked at this point, so it's just got to be weathering the storm at this point. mousesports, if they can stop getting killed, if they can stop that hemorrhaging right there and just farm, yeah, they're going to be behind, but get Fateless into a 2-sit.
Well, Fateless is in trouble. That is just him completely destroyed. Amir King with a fountain a little bit too late, and the Impale will not get him across the wall. 2 kills to SK. Great Cully doing his best to push the lane, but they're just going to dive straight on in. Tyra's taking a lot of damage. The fountain means he's safe, and Kavalvar looking to finish the deed. Great Cully falls, and that's 3 kills over to SK.
Ace might not have hit, but they get the ace. Well, they might have if the timing was a little bit better on that one, but Kavo and crew just like getting sped up there. Jetpacks and that Protector contract and that speed up. He's going to be looking for that Aegis, so that Crucible 3 for 3 in these games, and they pick up a turret on top of it. Like, you went from, what, 2,000, 4,000 gold? Well, we're sitting just about that 4K mark, but we're at full 2 minutes earlier than we've been in these last 2 games. It's like SK's just putting the pedal to the metal right now.
And not only that, that was that Sorrow Blade finally completed for the Idris, just as the turret went down as well. That is a very late Sorrow Blade for Fateless. He has not been having a lot of fun on the stage, and it's his first live tournament, but unfortunately for him, SK just really have his number.
It's not looking good for him at all. Could be the nerves, could be the jitters. These guys said they had a lot of trust in their teams, but 0-3 is not exactly the record that anybody goes for here on day 1. So, SK, what do they do after that? Well, so far, it looks like they're going to find Emmer King.
Yeah, it is going to be a gauge coming out of Emmer King, as you mentioned. Forward barrage, a bit of damage onto K-Val, but Mouse, they don't really look like they feel like they can take engages. They're a little bit scared in their map movements, a little bit back and forth. They don't know where Tyros is. He could have been in the lane with Cavalifar, and so instead of looking for a aggressive play to perhaps get themselves into this game, kind of plug the holes in their ship, they decide against it.
Second item priority here for King is likely going to be that Atlas once he does find the cache. He shouldn't be too far off of it at this point, but once he gets that, I mean, there might be a little bit more of a breathing room up against Cavalifar. Really depends if the positioning is good on him, and if the Aegis, the Crucible from Jetpacks is really on point. But past that, there's still not really a lot of defense here on the team, right? Great Khali still very much glass. Fateless, well, he's by all purposes, he's still glass at this point as well.
Yeah, glass cannon indeed, and those on points will just tear through and shatter you as Tyra's building towards a broken myth as his second item by the looks of things. Perhaps could even just hold on to that piercing spear.
Yikes.
Wow, that is so much damage. And you kind of talk about Tyra's on his CP Kestrel in game 1. Well, those on points are like a glimmer shot empowered landing on top of you.
Yeah, it might not be 4 in a row, but hey, when it hits, it hits!
Oh, wow. Great defensive play there from Emir King. The Giffian wall straight into that dead turret will mean that the gauntlet doesn't get placed, but they still have to deal with this poke damage from Tyros. They may have not died or been dived upon as far as the gauntlet is concerned, but SK still want this fight.
Well, if you're not stepping lightly for those on points, you better be stepping lightly for Cavalifar, because he still has that tension bow, front-loaded damage, backed up by that Sorrow Blade. All right, let's see what happens.
Great Khali just completely removed. 1v1 as far as that's concerned. Tyra's looking for the second of this fight, and he will take it away. It's just Emir King left, and the turret SK will focus down, taking this out at just 1040. Their gold lead advances to 5,000.
Yep, that's going to be the best position they've been at in the 10-minute mark. But you saw the ace, you saw the burst. K-Val just removes Great Khali. And again, like, he will be something of a glass cannon. He's more of a glass pea shooter right now. 0 and 3 for that Sky. It's just unfortunate for him, but he does have second item online, but they're not the ones finding engages. We're not like, it's not Emmerkin going forward with an impale. It's not these Githian walls stunned, setting up for great deaths from aboves or anything. No, it's just mousesports getting pushed back and back and back, and because they're not aggressing, they can't use this comp.
Yeah, Jetpack's all by himself, but Mouse just, they don't feel comfortable that they can even aggress onto a Lonely Arden. They have no
vision.
Right, of where SK Gaming are, and they just cannot risk to try and take fights unless they know that Cavalifar and Tyros are on the other side of the fold.
Now, we've had infusions since the 5-minute mark here for K-Val. That's been really just consistent on him. Fateless has 1 in inventory right now, and you can see Great Khali. He's ready to go there on top of things. But you're just matching at this point. There's no advantages at all here to Mouse. And now with the gold miner going down, SK is just going to keep going farther and farther ahead. And once we get this next round of items done, you just might even see a push to win from there.
Yeah, third item there for Cavalifar. Breaking point means that if the fights last a couple of seconds, with the amount of damage that Cavalifar is dishing out, it certainly could be disastrous. A bit of a death bush coming out of mousesports. They are grouping up just to the side of the lane here in SK. Well, they're playing on the other side of the lane. They understand that the potential is there. A Mouse just trying to lay down any damage they can, but they have to be so careful. On point stack up, hurting them a ton. The gauntlet available, and maybe Emir can knock Jetpacks away once, but can he do it again? I'm not sure it's possible.
Yeah, that was a great play from Emir King, but can you duplicate it? Can you turn something around here? This is a choke point turret. If that goes down, base is left wide open.
Emir King on the front line, misses that impale, and a lot of damage traded straight on top of him. He doesn't want to be taking that much damage before a fight begins, because the Fountain may be forced to save him rather than one of his carries.
Ooh.
Death from above goes out on top of this minion wave, definitely clearing it out. They have the wave clear, at least for mousesports, does give them a bit of room to breathe with, but as they start to fall back and heal up, SK, they're not even interested in sticking around. They've got gold to steal from the jungle. It's interesting though, SK, they haven't focused the Crystal Sentry at all this game.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Not even attempts, but it's all about this 9 and 0, right? You get the 10, you get a kill right here, you can take turret. Like, that's way more important than a crystal anyways.
The half health onto Emir King. He just cannot afford to take this damage. We'll finally go back and heal. But SK, with this choke, what they're doing to mousesports right now is making sure that the only gold income available to mousesports is split between 3 members, and that's in the wave. Their jungle is off limits. This turret is going to fall, and fall it does at the 1337 mark. My favorite number, of course.
Some elite timing on that one for sure, but SK's not on a timer, right? Their whole purpose is just to limit mousesports. Once we hit the 15-minute mark, if the game's even still going as the first century goes down, that's just going to be a setup for Kraken. You don't even have to do the Kraken. You just bait it, you get the kill, you win the game. If you get the Kraken anyways, you win the game. So it's all aces right now for SK. They're playing a very slow, methodical, and just very well thought out game, but they also realize that, you know, any kind of risk could actually put them on the behind.
Gauntlet goes out Fateless on top of Kavalifar, but there's just not enough damage, and he will fall. Amir King struggling to tank it all up, and he goes down for a double for Kavalifar. Mouse, they attempt to make the moves, but the moves are punishing them. It's an ace coming out for SK, and they didn't even get scratched in that fight.
KVL just hate the entire forward barrage and came out still fairly well.
Yeah, it looks like SK, they're done. It's 5 seconds on Fateless, but they want to finish this game as soon as possible. First, Vayne Crystal turret down, the Empowered Minion Wave crashing into the second one. Fateless has to be the miracle play. An Impale lands from Amir King, but it is going to be SK respecting the ability of Mouse to win the fight and falling back into the jungle.
So again, there's no pressure. You don't need to end out early. You don't need to be flashy. You don't need to be risky. Everything is in the SK gaming court right now. So it might not even have been a play for the Kraken right there, but mousesports, they kind of went forward. They said, where are you? SK found him, punished them. Now it's just, well, a setup for a rinse repeat at this point. I mean, Tyrus' 2 items. We've had infusions since the 5-minute mark. We're sitting on pretty much everything just all great from KVL. And if he can go 1v1 up against Great Kelly, even with that forward barrage just being face tanked and still come out that good, I mean, I think it's just over here for Mouse.
Yeah, SK, they're respecting the CP damage, but right now they're looking to finish the game. That's the aces high, landing onto Amir King, and Fateless struggling to escape. He does manage to get to the back line, but go down he does to Tyrus. 1, 2, 3, you're indeed correct. An ace for SK Gaming as Kavalifar finds the double kill, and there's no way that Mouse can defend their base. This is going to be that Vayne Crystal turret falling here forecourt as SK Game, 3rd seed from Europe, gonna take down these objectives and lock in their place in day 2 of the Unified Western Live Championship.
Now a lot of people out there are gonna say, okay, 3-0 expected result, but Mouse just unfortunately not coming online. They never aggressed in any game. They got first blood on top of an Ancient Treant, but past that, everything was just run by SK. It was just, it's really amazing to see these guys. You know, they might not be the top 2, they might be the 3rd seed, but maybe they should have been that top 2, right? 33 health put them in this situation, but they're not even phased.
Right, that's it. 33 health on a game 3 against G2. Was it what came down to the defining moment of the European